I'm Deborah Richmond. I'm here to show you some quilts from my collection. I like to collect what I call outsider quilts. They are quilts that are made that are highly unusual, unconventional. Sometimes they're strange patterns and sometimes they're strange fabrics. And the two quilts that I have to show you today are all about traditional quilts made of unusual fabrics. So this that you're looking at, it's an eyeful, right? I love all this riot of color. Whole thing is made from corduroy. That's right, it's made from corduroy. This is a heavy, heavy quilt, and it was clearly a 1970s quilt. And you can see they have this man's shirting flannel on the back. So when she made this quilt, she meant it to be warm. She's got corduroy in the top. She's got flannel on the bottom. Now I'm pretty sure this is a 70s quilt. Number one, because I'm pretty sure in the 70s my dad had a shirt made of that plaid. I swear. And then also because I remember having some of the corduroy. There are corduroy prints in here. So there are not only, there's blues, there's a lot of different brighter colors. That would have been more in the 70s. The prints, I know that in the 70s, when I was a kid, early 70s, my mom was making things for us. And a lot of times the pants she would use, we were three little girls, she would use the prints because we just loved them. And so that you see there's teddy bears in some of these, which would have been the type of thing you make like a baby's jumper from. So these are probably fabrics that were left over from the sewing that she did. Just a bajillion different colors is amazing, the collection of corduroy here. But it is pretty traditional piecing as far as the block itself. She starts every single block with pink and purple. Good. And then every color possible for the rest of it. But this is a fan pattern. You see, here's the block right here, and then 4 of those together make the circle. But it is a fan block. And so this is, I can't tell from this one if it's been machined. There's a piece here somewhere. Maybe been machined or been done by hand. This has been done by, I'm going to tell you, machine. Which you'd probably have to do this by machine. It's so heavy, it would pull itself apart. So back in the 70s, we didn't have rotary cutters and rulers. You would have been cutting these with probably a piece of cardboard that you cut from a pattern in a magazine or a book, probably a magazine or a newspaper. And she'd have one of this piece, one of this piece, and one of this piece, and that would make her whole block, and that would make all of these blocks. So she pieced those traditionally, and then she put sashing in between each. But because it's a whole bunch of different kinds of corduroy, it's often hard to even see that it's sashing. It keeps your eye flowing all over this quilt. It does not have a batting, and it sure doesn't need one because it's the corduroy and the flannel on the back. It is nice and heavy, doesn't need any more to it, and she did not try to quilt this, thank goodness, because you just wouldn't have been able to. She tacked it, and every once in a while there's these big pink stitches. Now sometimes they look like stars, and sometimes they just look like stitches all over the place. Sometimes they're X's, sometimes they're a little dot. This particular corduroy is a very wide corduroy. All the others are pretty much the same. Here's a wide corduroy, but pretty much the others are all the same. But the construction of it is just very simple. This was clearly meant to be a warm quilt for the family. Winter, you might as well use up those corduroys that you got. And she got this one done. And it's had some wear. Because this one is a full quilt with the backing, I can see that they did use it. It's definitely something that they were using. So in keeping with our quilts made of unusual fabrics, this one, first of all, it was very difficult to hang, so I apologize for what it looks like. I'll tell you what it is because I know it's not real obvious. But it's made of all like satiny, polyester, silky fabrics. What it is it's a quilt top, and on the edge it is a dust ruffle. That's just a ruffle all the way around. So this is obviously, because it's decorative here in the middle, this is something that she probably put over a bed that had other quilts, other blankets on it, and this was to dress it up. This is not something you would actually sleep under with all the ruffles. The whole thing is done, most of it is done, all this, by hand. And then the ruffles are put on by machine, which thankfully I don't know how you would do that by hand. These are all small octagons. This was clearly made with the English paper piecing method. And she had, it's funny because this one on the back, there's a lot of, when we do English paper piecing now, we usually leave about a 1/4 inch seam or a little bit bigger on the back, but not, you know, not a lot. With these, she had, the backs are like covered. They have, I don't know if I can show you this. I'm going to try showing this to you. There is a ton of fabric. Like here, see how these big flaps on one piece. So it doesn't matter because this all lays really flat, so there was no reason for her to have to trim it. They're done with, like I said, almost all of them are silky fabrics. Some of them are not. But what I love about this is the pattern. Kind of goes all over the place. So you can see the pattern here. This is very interesting that she's got a pattern going, sorta. And every once in a while it sort of takes its own little turn. And here in the middle, she had it going real well until she got about here. And I don't know if she, you know how you do a project and you do it, you pick it up every couple of months and you keep working it. Maybe it was something like that. Maybe it was something that she picked it up again and forgot what the pattern was, because this is all different from here. It almost looks like there was going to be an outline, but then not really quite. So I absolutely love that. I love that because, again, you look at this one, sure look at it longer. But the colors are very like deep and rich, very much like a crazy quilt of the 1920s. I don't know what age this is. I have no idea. It's probably 50s or older. And I have to tell you, all of the blocks are stitched with a whip stitch like we do now, but she's done it with a really big whip stitch so that you can see all of her stitches, and she obviously means you to see them. And she stitched everything together with yellow. So I would think I would not pick up yellow when I'm making this and say let's use this, but it's good she did, because otherwise we wouldn't see these blocks. But yet you can see pretty distinctly what this is. If she had done this in matching threads or with a whip stitch you couldn't see, this would just look like a big stripe. But now you can see all the work that has gone into this, and clearly this is a lot of work. This took her some time, a lot of time. If you like this video and you want to see more, click subscribe below, because as I have more of these videos, as I add to my collection, I'll be putting them up on YouTube and you can see what it is I find. Thanks for joining me.
And be sure to subscribe to our channel. You can do so here by clicking the subscribe button. That way you'll find out about new videos as they become available.